Hey guys, it's Lewis from Recycle Bicycle Sales here. In today's video, I wanted to talk about what tyre pressure you should be running. Join me inside, let's talk about it. All right, so why does having the correct tyre pressure matter? But before I get into that, I just want to quickly address the elephant in the room. How goddamn cool does this Trek Madone look? I've got this bike in stock here at Recycle Bicycle Sales, our beautiful bike shop here. It's a 56 centimeter. It's a Trek Madone SLR7, which means that it comes with the Ultegra Di2. Sorry, SLR7, so it's the top level frame, the deep dish carbon wheels, the one-piece bar stem, it's all the bling. I don't even know what color to call this. It's like gold and purple. Anyway, this thing is really cool. It's in stock and we've got it listed at $9,000. So if you think it looks as cool as I think it looks and it's gonna fit you, send us a message. But back to the point of this video, why does having the correct tire pressure actually matter? The first things that come to my mind are performance and puncture protection. We want to have good performance out of the bike, so it's a nice fast rolling tire and it's able to grip around different corners and it's able to brake the way that we want it to and all that lovely performance sort of stuff. But we also want the correct tire pressure to avoid punctures as much as we can. Unfortunately, they're part of the game, but having the correct tire pressure will give us our best chance at avoiding them. So what tire pressure should you really be running? If I was to boil this whole question down into one simple answer, I would say most road cyclists tend to be somewhere between 80 and 100 PSI. So that's a wrap. That's the whole video. Cut. Okay, I'm back. I was kind of joking a little bit there because there are a few variables that can change whereabouts in this range you should be. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So let's talk about what happens if the tire is underinflated and overinflated. If your tire is underinflated, you run the risk of having a pinch flat. A pinch flat happens when the tire and the rim pinch the tube on the inside. This usually happens when we're riding along and we hit something like a pothole or a rock or a piece of wood that happens to be sitting on the road or something like that, and there's an impact that's really quite hard. It will pinch the tube and cause the tube to burst. So that can happen if the tire pressure is too low. Also, if you're going around a corner quite quickly, you can literally, if it's low enough, roll the tire off the rim and then you're gonna crash. And that hurts, so we don't want to do that. Whereas if it's overinflated, you can run the risk of having a less comfortable ride because it's such a bumpy, solid ride. It also could mean that you have less grip because there's less surface area touching the road, less tire actually touching the road. And if it's pumped up too hard, you could even have a blowout where the whole thing just completely explodes. This is a pretty extreme scenario, but I've seen it enough times that it's worth mentioning. The first thing that we should talk about here is the limiting factors of the actual components that you have, as in the tire and the rim. Sometimes they have a maximum pressure or perhaps even a minimum pressure. The tires will always, on the sidewall of the tire, have a pressure range. They'll say minimum this PSI and maximum that PSI. As long as you're within that range, the tire should be safe. If you were to go outside of that, that's where we can start to have some issues. Also on the rim, especially on these carbon fiber wheels, sometimes there's a maximum pressure. I know that on my bike, I have the Zip 404 Firecrest wheels, disc brake ones, and there's a sticker on there somewhere that says max pressure 73.4 or something, which honestly just sounds really silly. I don't know if they're just saying that to try and be funny, but it says it on there. So because of that, I run it at like 72 PSI. There's absolutely, I'm definitely not running it at 75 PSI or anything silly like that. But sometimes there is a maximum pressure. If you're running a super lightweight, fragile wheel that's designed to go up the hill as fast as it can, there also might be a maximum pressure. So it might be worth looking at that. Another variable could be that perhaps you're running a tubeless tire as opposed to tubes like this one here. If you're running a tubeless tire, not only can you run a lower tire pressure, but you probably choose to run a lower tire pressure as well. The reason that you're able to run a lower tire pressure is because you don't have any chance of a pinch flat. I was talking about pinch flats before when the tire and the rim pinch and make the tube inside explode. There is no tube in there. So there is no tube to pinch. So you literally can't get that type of flat tire. So you could run the benefits, you could have the benefits of running a lower tire pressure with more grip without the downsides of potentially getting a pinch flat. So on a tubeless bike, typically speaking, lower tire pressure. If the tire pressure is too low and you ride over a pothole, if you have an aluminium wheel, you might dent the rim, and if you have a carbon wheel, unfortunately carbon fiber doesn't dent, it cracks. And if you have a crack in the carbon fiber, that is the end of that wheel's life. So if the tire pressure is too low, you could damage the actual wheel. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to quickly mention that YouTube sent us a message recently saying that 94% of people watching these videos haven't subscribed yet. So I just wanted to quickly say that we have tens of thousands of dollars worth of value in these videos, and we're giving it all to you for free. So if it is something that you appreciate and you want to help our small business succeed, I'd love it if you could hit that subscribe button down below. Anyway, let's get back to the video. Variable we'll also find here is your body weight. If you're a 60 kilo rider or if you're an 80 kilo rider, you might run a slightly different tire pressure between those ones. If you're a 60 kilo rider with the 80 kilo rider's tire pressure, it might feel like a very rigid ride. But if you're an 80 kilo rider riding on the 60 kilo rider's tire pressure, you might find it squatting, or it feels like a soft balloon underneath you, because it's just not set up for your body weight. So in this sense, tire pressure should quite drastically change depending on your body weight or even your riding style. A visual that you might notice here is if you sit on the bike and the tire squats under your body weight, it might not quite be set up for your body weight. You might need to pump it up a little bit harder. That's a pretty clear one that we can see with our eyes. Another thing that should be impacting your tire pressure is the actual width of the tire. What we'll find is that as we go to a larger tire, we tend to go to a lower pressure because we're going to a bigger volume, a higher volume, and a lower pressure. So depending on the width of tire, your numbers might change a little bit. To give you a bit of an idea of what I mean here, if you're running a 23mm tire, you might be at maybe 110 PSI, for example, whereas if you're on a 28mm tire, you might be running more like 90 or maybe 100 PSI. Another thing that could change your desired tire pressure is the conditions that you're riding in. If it's a sunny Sunday and the roads are nice and clear and you don't have too much to worry about, the grip levels are probably pretty high because the roads are nice and warm. Whereas if you're riding in the middle of winter, maybe it's been raining or there's a bit of sand or grit over the roads, or the roads are a little bit bumpy because it's the bumpy back streets or up in the hills or something like that, a lower tire pressure will help you have a little bit more grip. Grip is good in the way that it's traction, but it's bad in the way that it's friction. So when we're riding in the wet weather, we want to have a lot of traction, and when we're riding in the summer, we want less friction. So we might go to a higher tire pressure in the summer and a lower tire pressure in the winter. Before you pump your tires up as well, have a quick think about what your goals are for that ride. What's your dream outcome? Do you want to win the Strava segment, the short little segment, or do you want to do your first 100-kilometer bike ride? If you want to win the segment, pumping up your tires to a nice hard pressure is really going to help you in that short stint. It does mean that you might not have quite as much grip when you're coming back down the hill, but it doesn't matter because you won your Strava segment. But if you're doing your first long bike ride, you might want to have a little bit more comfort so you can take a bit of strain off your wrists and your joints and your lower back. So you might run a lower tire pressure. So this kind of ties back into that earlier point about the higher tire pressure is just for all out speed, or is better for all out speed, whereas the lower tire pressure is more about comfort. So not so much performance, more about being comfortable all the way throughout the bike ride. Now, even though I'm speaking and I'm calling myself a professional here, you don't always have to take my advice. You can always just take this with a bit of a grain of salt and take your bike out for a test ride, try different tire pressures, see what you find comfortable, what you find good performance, what sort of works for you, because what works for me might be different to what works for you. Maybe the goals that I have are a little bit different, or maybe not as big as some of the goals that you've got as well. So try the different tire pressures, see what you find comfortable. So if somebody's telling you to run 85 PSI, you don't have to listen to it specifically. You could try maybe 80 or try 90, and then you might end up finding that 85 was the wrong number. So all I'm saying here is try it for yourself. The final thing I want to leave you with here is to remember to make sure to check your tire pressure before every ride. Tires or tubes will slowly lose pressure over time, especially if you got a flat tire on the weekend and you used a CO2 canister to pump it up. It will leak a little bit of air. Personally, I pump my tires up once every maybe 2 weeks or so. So it lasts, 2 weeks, which is pretty good, but it's not gonna last forever because the air will eventually leak out. So it's worth putting a tire gauge on there or a pump just to make sure that it is in tip-top shape. You should definitely be checking this before every single bike ride. Hopefully this teaches you a few different things that you needed to know so that you can find the correct tire pressure for you. If you reckon that there's anything that we should have said in this video that we didn't say already, or maybe a tire pressure that you like to run and a reason why you like to run that tire pressure, let us know in the comment section down below. I love reading all that sort of stuff. Otherwise, I'm gonna say thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next video. See you guys.